What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Yahoo with a 12-team half PPR mock where we'll be selecting 9th overall. So should be pretty interesting. We've just got a little bit more until this thing kicks off. And during that time, just a quick reminder, if you guys enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear it in the comments section, your thoughts, along with any other questions you guys might have. We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, this thing has kicked off. The first pick has been made. It is Christian McCaffrey, who happened to be the number one ranked guy on the board. And if, the Yahoo rankings are any indication, Jamar Chase should be the next man up. But actually, Travis Kelce is the number 2 selection. And look, I get it. Travis Kelce is a dude that if you don't pick him in the first round, especially if you're picking early on, he's not going to get back to you. So I understand the logic, but it's going to be tough, in my opinion, to bounce back from that early of a tight end selection, especially in a 12-team league. Afterwards, Jamar Chase, followed by Justin Jefferson, and then Austin Eckler. I have no issues with those next couple of picks. Justin Jefferson, pretty much a top 5 guy. Jamar Chase is bumped up rankings because it's not full PPR, it's half PPR. And then Austin Eckler, you can argue, is, the number 1 overall running back alongside Christian McCaffrey. Cooper Kupp goes 6th overall. That's interesting. He definitely was on my board. 9th overall. I was going to try and game the system a little bit, if you will. But, and what I mean by that is just because of how much the running back position has been kind of thrown at the wayside for us to go Cooper Kupp and then still get a high-end running back in that second round. So right now, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Nick Chubb, Josh Jacobs, man, that is a really strong group of running backs. I'm probably going to go with Jonathan Taylor here over Saquon Barkley because, again, I don't think Saquon Barkley is going to sit out. I don't. I think he's going to play out the franchise tag. You just have to have the conversation of how motivated is he going to be this season? Is he going to, really go just 100% all out, that type of situation? Is he going to protect himself for a payday next year? All these things are on the table, but I do think he ends up playing. Either way, though, honestly, we were with the 9th pick in the first round, and either one of those guys was a very, very solid pick. So I really don't think we could have gone wrong either way. I like the Jonathan Taylor selection, and I think that offense for the Colts is going to be, improved compared to last year, a little bit more consistent. I think Jonathan Taylor is going to bounce back. So, again, I have zero issues, especially when you look at the value. If Bijan Robinson was there for us, 9th overall, I probably would have ranked him as our preferred choice. But, again, Jonathan Taylor, not a bad consolation prize. Nick Chubb just went with the last pick in the first round. I was hoping he falls to us in the second round. I would have been very, very happy with a Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb type of start to this draft. But, okay, no problem. Wasn't meant to be. Let's kind of break down this first round, though, now that it's officially in the books. We saw McCaffrey, then Kelce, who we touched on, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. So the top 2 pass catchers go in the top 5, then Austin Eckler. Cooper Kupp goes 6th overall. I like Cooper Kupp. I think that he should be right alongside Justin Jefferson. So from that perspective, I don't mind it. Tyreek Hill immediately afterwards. Bijan, then Jonathan Taylor, who we selected. Stephon Diggs, I think that's a little bit early for him, especially when you've got guys like Devontae and, some of the other pass catchers that are still on the board. I say Devontae. I don't want to say the other guy because I know I'm going to get sniped. Oh, it's actually, okay, wow. CeeDee Lamb is still somehow available to us. And I think right now, as far as wide receivers are concerned, he's probably the top one, at least on my board. So he's more than likely going to be the selection here. Derrick Henry also kind of tempting, but I'm going to go with CeeDee Lamb. I could much more see Derrick Henry kind of falling off a cliff this year. And, I've kind of touched on it for a variety of reasons. Age, recent injury history. I think the Titans are just a team that's headed in the wrong direction. I don't really care about the signing of DeAndre Hopkins. That's nothing to me. I look at the quarterback situation. I look at the drafting of the quarterback situation the last couple of years, and that signals a team that's, I don't think, going to be elite this year offensively. Let's just put it that way. So our start to this draft, Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, I don't mind that. Then Garrett Wilson, Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was the other wide receiver I probably would have been looking at if the person before me sniped CeeDee Lamb. A.J. Brown, not a bad name, but I just think CeeDee Lamb is going to be a little bit more consistent, and I just value consistency so much when it comes to fantasy football production, whether it's running back or wide receiver, really any position. But we're getting to the end of the second round, so let's break it down here. Josh Jacobs, I think that's a little bit early for him. I've labeled him as a guy that I think is going to disappoint this year, so we'll see. Devontae Adams, great value on him. If the whole, Jimmy Garoppolo thing is okay. Tony Pollard, a very interesting name. We just have to monitor the situation of, are the Cowboys going to add another veteran running back? Because if they do, then we are going to have to adjust our rankings. But I mean, that's the name of the game. Look, we make these rankings in May, in June, whatever it is. And there's a lot of time that's going to lapse, a lot of things that are going to change until early September. So we move with it. We went CeeDee Lamb, then Garrett Wilson. Okay, Derrick Henry, sure. So these are all value picks, followed by A.J. Brown, followed by Amon-Ra, Josh Allen. I hate that pick in the middle-ish part of the second round, then Breece Hall, Jalen Waddle, Patrick Mahomes. Again, I don't like that pick. These quarterbacks shouldn't be going that early. Travis Etienne with the first pick in the third round, then Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, and Kenneth Walker. So the guy that started with Travis Kelce has Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith. So obviously going pass catcher heavy here. But, oh man, I think that running back position could be a little bit scary in the fourth and fifth round for him, especially if we punish him and go with guys like Miles Sanders, go with somebody like a Joe Mixon, who we have ranked higher on our board. So, yeah, I'm really curious how this thing will pan out. I think Ramondre Stevenson is going to be one of these next selections. That's exactly what happens. Okay, no issues there. T. Higgins, intriguing name here. I like T. Higgins. I'm just a little bit scared by the consistency issues with him. So for that reason, I'll probably prioritize somebody like a Miles Sanders or a Joe Mixon, who I already mentioned. So let's see. Mark Andrews just went. That's fine. Running back wise, Miles Sanders is pretty high on my list. And then if we go Joe Mixon in the next round, I don't mind that start. We've got CeeDee Lamb to anchor this thing. Tight end, I don't love the tight ends at this point in time. I'm not going quarterback. So I've talked myself into Miles Sanders. I think he's a guy that's going to break out big time this year. And, the definition of putting your mouth or your money where your mouth is. So that is my logic there for Miles Sanders. And let's see what we do now here. So Joe Mixon is still on the board, FYI. Jahmyr Gibbs just went. I'm looking at the other wide receivers. We could go Amari Cooper. We could go somebody like a Keenan Allen, Calvin Ridley. But you know what? I'm just going to load up on value running backs. I'm going to go Joe Mixon here. And the fact that, it's half PPR, we won't be fully punished by how many passes he might or might not catch. But, without Samaje Perine there, I think this could be a little bit of a better year for Joe Mixon than some people think. And I think it's a good value pick at this point in the fourth round. Let's pull up the draft results again as a reminder. So in the third round, what we saw, Etienne, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave. I was really hoping Chris Olave falls to us. He doesn't. Kenneth Walker, Najee Harris, Jalen Hurts. So, this is my example with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, third round. I get that that's the price you're going to have to pay for an elite quarterback, but Jalen Hurts here is a much better value compared to where you got Josh Allen. I say that all the time. So if you're going to select one of those elite quarterbacks, be the person that selects that third guy out of the Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts group, because you're going to get the best value. Then Ramondre Stevenson, Mark Andrews. We went with Miles Sanders. Then T. Higgins went off the board, followed by J.K. Dobbins and T.J. Hawkinson. Then the fourth round kicked off. Aaron Jones, DK Metcalf, Jahmyr Gibbs. We went Joe Mixon. Then Joe Burrow and Amari Cooper. I don't love the recent kind of inflation of Joe Burrow stock here. A third, fourth round selection. We're going to wait. Folks, we're going to wait. Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson. The names are out there. I mean, I haven't even talked about the rushing heavy guys like Lamar and Justin Fields. So definitely high upside here. Lamar Jackson just went, speaking of. Now, let's see what this guy does in the fourth and fifth round that went so pass catcher heavy. So, I mean, common sense would say it's going to be running backs here. So, James Conner, Alexander Mattison, those would be the highest probably value picks. But Alvin Kamara, also a guy that should be in consideration if he isn't suspended. Obviously becomes a steal. Yep, I think we predicted it. James Conner. Let's see what happens now. But folks, having James Conner as your RB1, that's a little bit iffy. And I'm assuming this is going to be another running back selection. So let's see. Let's see if it's Alvin Kamara. Let's see if it's a Rachaad White, one of those type of deals. That's what I'm anticipating. And but going back to what I was saying, James Conner is your RB1. Ooh, I like having him as my flex play. I think he's a great flex play type of dude. But as your RB1, knowing his injury history, that worries me. And then David Montgomery is your RB2, considering he's no running back by committee with Jahmyr Gibbs, also worrisome. So this is what happens when you prioritize the pass catching position so heavily, and when your first round selection is Travis Kelce. This would be kind of my worst case scenario, honestly, because you're taking a chance on these running backs that I think are probably, let's be honest, flex plays, ideally what they should be treated as. But yeah, you just if you go that aggressive for pass catchers, you deserve to get punished. And I think that's kind of what we saw here. Then Debo, then Rachaad White, Calvin Ridley. I was really hoping would fall to us. He doesn't. Oh well. Alvin Kamara just went, then George Kittle. So I like the fact that this person saw the value in Alvin Kamara. George Kittle was just selected, and now Terry McLaurin went off the board. So, folks, Keenan Allen is still on the board in the fifth round, end of the fifth round. I think this is a no-brainer of a selection for us. Let's go with Keenan Allen. Not sure how he lasted this long. I mean, look, I know how. He is older. He's coming off an injured season, recency bias. It's a crowded room, but Keenan Allen is still the number one dude for Justin Herbert, at least in my opinion, right? And I think that's going to bring value. You're still getting a little bit of a boost with the half PPR aspect of this. So yeah, there's that. Kyle Pitts here is probably going to be the selection for me. I've got two wide receivers. I want a difference maker at the tight end position, and he's the guy that's ranked the highest right now on my board. Other wide receivers, I really like Marquise Brown, but I think there's a chance he drops, whereas with Kyle Pitts, I don't think that's the case, so I'm going Kyle Pitts here. Quarterback, we could have gone with a Lawrence or a Herbert, but I think there was better value in going tight end. Looking at this fifth round, we saw some, I just think just good value picks, right? Like Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen on our end, Terry McLaurin. I don't like that Tyler Lockett pick. I think it's a little bit too early for him. If I had to choose one wide receiver in Seattle that kind of dips, probably him. DJ Moore, I really like that value pick at the start of the sixth round. Kyle Pitts we got in the sixth round, then Brian Robinson, Mike Williams, DeAndre Swift. So yeah, right now we've almost got our starting roster taken care of. Let's see where these next group of quarterbacks go. These two teams right here that we're picking second and third overall probably makes sense. Marquise Brown did get selected. Oh, dang. here at the end of the 6th round. There goes Trevor Lawrence. I anticipate we're going to see Herbert here, but who knows? Otherwise, I mean, how many other teams need a quarterback before our selection? Only 2 teams. This guy right here and the person that's picking 7th overall. So if Herbert isn't one of those selections, he's going to get back to us, and I'd be very, very happy with that value. I got to think this is going to be okay. Well, yeah, like I said, these were the 2 teams that needed a quarterback. They went quarterback. So Justin Herbert off the board. That's fine, but your running backs are absolute garbage right now, and the depth isn't there, so have fun with that. This pick has got to be a running back at this point in time, but let's see. Let's see what happens. I really don't like this team. Wow, just punting on the running back position. Whew, you got to have some balls on you. I guess congrats on that. But okay, so we're pretty much guaranteed we're going to get one of Dak Prescott or Deshaun Watson. So I feel good about that. You know, we've got a little potential Dak and CD stack. Deshaun Watson, I think, is going to be much improved compared to last year. So I like that situation. Let's see what we're working with at wide receiver. I'm looking at this thing. I don't love the wide receivers that are left. I really, really don't. Christian Kirk would probably be the guy that I have ranked the highest at this point in time. You know, Jordan Addison is also somebody that I like. Just scrolling down this list. Yeah, it's not a lot of names that I necessarily love. You know, there's upside, don't get me wrong, but I think looking at some other positions here, running back, again, Samaje Perine would probably be the highest ranked name on my list as far as running backs are concerned, really. I don't believe in Javonte Williams this year coming off the injury, so I think Samaje Perine is a pick that is going to be pretty valuable. Tight end, you know, the tight end run after we selected Kyle Pitts didn't really start. We just had Evan Ingram in the 7th round, but, you know, I'm not second-guessing our selection of Kyle Pitts. No chance. So now we get our choice of quarterbacks here. Let's just go ahead and I'm going to go with a higher upside guy. I'm going to go with Deshaun Watson. So we have that taken care of. We've got our starting roster complete, folks. Deshaun, CD, Keenan Allen, Jonathan Taylor, Miles Sanders, Kyle Pitts, Joe Mixon. High upside guys with CD, with Jonathan Taylor, Kyle Pitts, and then I think we got really good value picks on Joe Mixon, especially on Keenan Allen, right? That Miles Sanders pick, I think, is the one that could potentially swing this team into being serious contenders. So now we're looking at probably a wide receiver. We need depth at that position. I'm going with Christian Kirk here. You know, a very, very pleasant breakout last year. I realize Ridley is there now, so he's going to be the new number 1, but I think Christian Kirk still has a lot of value. So he's going to be our first bench piece to this squad. But honestly, with that, we've kind of gotten to the point where there's a couple more auto picks here than I would like. I mean, defenses have already been selected with San Fran and New York, so that tells you all you need to know. Let's kind of queue up a couple guys on this list as potential selections right now. So I really like Jordan Addison. I'm going to queue him up. Other names, I don't mind Elijah Moore. Jameson Williams, once he comes back from suspension, can be a really sneaky addition as well. Tight end, I already got Kyle Pitts, so I'm not too worried about it. Running back, I'm going to queue up Samaje Perine. But yeah, I don't want to make this video any longer than it has to be. I think we've gotten kind of the full feel of this thing. We've gotten the majority of the roster taken care of. I've marked up a couple names here on the queue list. We're going to end up with one of them. So right now, just kind of giving this thing a quick grade. I like what we're working with. I think it's a pretty balanced roster. So I'm not giving this thing any lower than a B. I think you could argue that if Miles Sanders and Kyle Pitts really, you know, break out this year, and that Keenan Allen does what Keenan Allen typically does when he's healthy, you know, this is a B plus A minus type of deal. I think this was the definition of just taking the board as it came to you and building a very solid, balanced roster. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comments section if you agree or disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.